Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Sabers. Rice.
Here.
Dosher. McCardle. Barrington.
Here.
Allen. Sharks.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Stephanie's doing fine, just so you know. She broke it just above the wrist, and she has to have surgery Wednesday. So. Okay, second reading on ordinance O 2022-17, amending Title 10 zoning regulations, indoor crop production. Mr. Jenigus.
Mr. Mayor and Council, if you recall from last week, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with one absent. There's been no comment since first reading to our office at all. As you recall, we're following the same guidelines for zoning as what we are for medical cannabis for their cultivation, except that is a separate ordinance. We're just putting it in the same locations. We just left it out of industrial because everything's permitted industrial. So I can answer any questions any of you have, or Justin can answer if you have more in-depth ones for him.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Sharks. Further discussion? Pretty sparse. Anybody in the audience want to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Motion to adopt ordinance O 2022-17. Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience? Roll call.
Smith.
Aye.
Sharks.
Aye.
Allen. Barrington.
Aye.
McCardle. Dosher. Rice.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action to approve application of NRCS Watershed and Flood Prevention Operations Planning Assistant. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is an application for NRCS watershed potential funds. This is allowing the mayor to sign the request to NRCS to basically look into see whether these funds are applicable for our watershed in the project area that's identified. Potential watershed projects that could be produced include measures to improve water quality by best management practices, structural or non-structural improvements to reduce runoff and erosion that contribute to poor water quality, and to reduce lake sedimentation. Benefits would include the protection of farmland from erosion, infrastructure protection, improved water quality, and improved riparian and aquatic habitat. NRCS would do the preliminary report to see if it's worth moving on to the actual study phase, and then we would consult with a consultant, a private firm, to do the actual study. And this is more of a detailed look at the area outlined in our.
When would we know about this? If we did receive a grant?
So South Dakota has not had an application for this type of grant yet. It's very popular in Nebraska, and Nebraska has done quite a few of them with FIRA. So we're hopeful that South Dakota will look at this as their first look into this program, and I think that our lake has enough significance and it's well known enough that I think it would be a good pilot for them for their program to start.
They also do this in Iowa, do they not? FIRA has a few in Iowa as well.
Yep, Iowa and Nebraska.
FIRA's put in a lot of applications for this. That's why we use them. They didn't charge us to put it together, but if we were to get the grant, they would be involved in the design that we're doing.
That was my question. Is there a price tag to attach to this? But there's
Zero.
not unless.
Nothing to put in.
Correct.
Okay.
And even if we get to the report or the study phase, that's 100% funded by NRCS, and then there is cost sharing for projects that are identified.
So if this goes through, who actually administers it or manages it or oversees it, Joe?
I'm sure it would be a group effort between the city, NRCS, and more than likely District 3 would also participate in distributing the funds and those types of things. And
These can be sizable grants. I think
Yep.
FIRA has several that were $4 to $5 million.
and you'd be working directly with the farmers?
Yep. So you identify the project, you work with the farmer in order to incorporate that project. Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of areas we've identified that we could potentially work on in fire steel.
And this is more of a detailed approach of targeting hotspots per se. That'd be the best bang for your buck as far as removing nutrients from fire steel.
Motion to approve, is that where we're at? or
Yep,
did
that's
we
where we're
already have that? Okay, motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Mrs. Charks. Motion by Mrs. Charks, second by Mr. Rice. Okay, further discussion? Anybody in the audience want to address it? Yes, not? Mark shaking his head no back there.
An unrelated but
Sure.
still related question? I know you guys continue to work on the watershed up north and wherever west and south and all over the place. Would it make sense at some point to at least give us a quarterly report of the activities that's happening with, and we've got one person, I think, on the payroll, I believe, that is working with the growers.
Yeah, well, we're using him to administer our NAUCA grant.
Okay.
Is that who you mean, Steve
Yeah,
Donovan? Yes.
Right.
And we do meet, Mr. Allen's in most of those meetings, we do meet with him every 2 months roughly.
We had another meeting, the 13th, that'd be a good question
Well-
to ask all those together. So
Sure.
we Put a list together, what they've done in the last 6
Yeah,
months.
and we could do that. We could do a quarterly
Because
thing.
obviously, we get questioned, and,
Yep.
it's hard to filter everything down, but I'm not saying that after every meeting, but maybe 2 times a year, 3 times a year, whatever, you guys talk about it, but I think it'd be good for us to know, and then obviously the public will know that too.
Right, and we are planning to bring together another big meeting on the lake after the first of the year, once BAR gets a little farther along with what they're doing. And we're hoping to bring fire into this as part of this grant thing we're doing now, to have a discussion too, because we've actually talked to them about some of the perceptions that are out there as to what we need to be doing. So hopefully they can come in and give a little, or maybe a Zoom or however we want to do it, chat at that meeting as far as some of their findings.
So Joe, can you give them maybe a heads up? Everybody that's on that list, that's, I think Steve coordinates that, but you guys give a heads up on what we're looking for.
Yep, I can definitely do that.
Maybe they can bring some of the information to the meeting.
Yep. Yeah. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Agreement A 2022-42, Second Amendment Addendum to the Joint Pipeline and Water Supply Agreement by BY Rural Water. Are you talking to this one, Mr. Schrader, or is it Mr. Johnson?
Yep, I can kick it off. The proposed agreement incorporates the required updates for our new ground storage tank. That includes relocating of the existing meter pit to the ground storage facility, and the city acquiring BY Rural Water's interest of approximately 1 mile of 24-inch ductile iron pipe. Currently, the existing meter pit is located by MTI, and the new meter will be located within our ground storage tank facility. BY Rural Water did approve transferring that interest to the city of Mitchell for $600,000 at their last board meeting, and we do recommend council approve the mayor to sign.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rice,
Second.
second by Mr. Allen. Further discussion?
So, yeah, in part of the document transfer of property interest, it says it must be approved by USDA. When will that happen?
I don't know that we have a specific date on that.
If it doesn't happen, can we proceed with, so say it doesn't happen a year from now, can we still proceed with construction, or do we have to wait on that?
I think with this agreement in place, I think we can proceed with construction. And as long as BY is pursuing that process, I think there won't be any kind of concern there. Yeah, I think we haven't got any official approval at this point, but from our understanding, the checkoff from USD is kind of a formality. So as long as BY is making the request, I'm hoping that it won't take a long time.
And will we know when BY makes the request?
That's something that we'll have to work through with them, but I would hope that they would advise us and keep us involved in that process too.
Okay. I just,
We're trying to keep in the loop with BY, but we're struggling a little bit.
yeah, I just don't want this to get to the point and then say, oh, we still have a government approval from somebody before we can do that. Because it does say in here, because that's related to, transfer of interest must be approved pursuant to the terms of outstanding loans that BY has in order to provide water. So, if it's a money issue with BY and USDA, I would think that they would think that that's pretty important.
And where that comes from is there's a federal protection on loans that they receive, and really that protection deals with their service area, which, you know, we're really not in up here. We're basically in Davison Rural Water Service territory.
That's my only question.
Okay.
I think it should be a goal, but you gotta make sure the paperwork is right.
So we had
I'm trying
a
not
special
to
meeting
say
with
anything
the,
to get us in trouble.
I know.
with the ordinance, but we had these two added. Is it a week, Joe, that we just wanted to keep these things moving and not put it on the regular meeting? Or what was kind of the thought process of adding this on to tonight's agenda?
Have you ever tried to herd cats?
Yeah, I mean, I had the BY board meeting on last week, Wednesday. So just to move that process along, we decided to add that agreement tonight. And then the NRCS application, Byra was expecting it at the last meeting. And we reviewed it like right after our October meeting, and it got, yep. So then we decided to put it in.
Yeah, that one we just kind of slipped. They asked us, did you get it approved at the meeting? We said, oops, we forgot to put it on the meeting.
Yep.
So we thought since we were having this one, we would get it on here. I told them to put it on and we'll get it done. So it's a quick thing.
The main reason we had this meeting was for that indoor,
Yes.
Correct.
so
Yep.
why was there an urgency about that? Why
The
didn't-
the indoor thing?
Yeah.
Because they want to get moving and start constructing it and start producing in there
Awesome.
like tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So, I mean, they are in the rush. That's to try and get them, they're closing on the building, I believe, or they're working to get acquire the building. I maybe shouldn't ask you.
They're renting.
There's my guy back there, yeah, they're renting the building, okay. So it has to do with getting all the ducks in order to begin production and get their rent and the building hammered down and all that, so.
Happy to accommodate.
We're trying. I wish the other entity on this meeting would be as happy to accommodate too, because part of the reason we did that tonight is we finally got it nailed down, and we want to keep it nailed down rather than have it disappear, so. Okay. All right, anything else? We're adjourned. Oh, we didn't vote? Okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Now we're adjourned. I thought we voted on it. I'm sorry.